was the historic solo flight such a historic and momentous international event? I guess the setting of where the world was and what made it like so historic.
It was huge. And, I think readers of the 21st century particularly have a hard time grasping what exactly that meant to the world. And there was a lot of reasons for that. You have a time, it's the 1920s, and people are searching by the end of the 1920s. They're searching. They've discovered now that this sort of decade of excess, where you had, more wealth, more freedom, more entertainment, more, hadn't really brought them a whole lot of happiness. And so they're searching for this there's a spiritual void in the United States and internationally, and everyone's sort of searching. But here along comes this young man who's handsome, who's wholesome, who's the complete, he looks like a hero, something that America and the world is sort of looking for at this point. And he flies in, literally flies in out of nowhere. And he's the underdog. He couldn't possibly fly across the ocean in this race that they're having now across the Atlantic. And the world falls in love with him. And so when he takes off, the whole world stops. They're riveted. And when I say stop, I mean stop. I think the perfect example is there was a big fight going on at Madison Square Garden, and it was Sharkey and Maloney, I think it was, 40,000 people in Madison Square Garden, and they discover that he's taken off, and they actually stop the fight. And a guy walks into the ring and asks all of these people at Madison Square Garden to stop and pause a moment, say a prayer for this young man who is flying across in the darkness of the Atlantic. And they do. And this is just one example of thousands of examples like that around the world, where people stopped and they waited and they held their breath. Americans saw it as a example of American excellence and a chance to show the world how extraordinary Americans were technologically. But internationally, it was seen as something amazing. For the first time, countries that had always been separated, that were not easy to get together, they saw flight as a way of suddenly bringing all those countries together. And it was sort of a metaphoric thing, right? That we were suddenly going to be a world that was brought so much closer by aviation. It was bigger than like the moon landing, and yet try to explain that to teenagers as well, right? So it was this extraordinary achievement.